Why is breatharianism so important? And why is it something that I talk about often in my videos? Why is it something that I'm aspiring to become? For you guys that may be new to this concept, new to the channel, breatharianism, believe it or not, some of you guys are gonna freak out, okay, is living, thriving, absolutely thriving, not just living and surviving, but thriving in life without drinking or eating, or without eating at least. There's different levels of breatharianism. Like there's level 1, level 2, level 3 is just water, level 4 no water, no food. And very, very few people, are at that level. Most breatharians are at the third stage, just water, occasional indulgence in food or juice or fruit or chocolate, just for pleasure, but largely just being sustained off the life force. And this is an ancient concept. They called it in ancient Greece, Enidia, because there was a period where we had a fall in consciousness, where we began to consume and feel separate. But before that, in the enlightened ages, in the Sat Yuga, it's all over the books, it's all over the scriptures, and so independently everywhere. The Taoists, the ancient Chinese called it Bigu. You could look it up if you're from that background, Bigu, Bigu. The Hindus have a name for it. It's one of their cities, powers you gain from spiritual evolution, and it's a minor city, believe it or not. The Hindus consider it to be a minor thing, like, oh yeah, he's sustained off the life force, he's got to a level where he doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to drink, the hunger and the thirst disappeared. Oh yeah, no big deal, we'll just consider it a minor city, a minor power. The ancient Greeks called it Enidia. So it's all over. We got Jesus going to the desert, 40 days and 40 nights, no drink, no food. Muhammad would go to the desert, do the same thing. All of them folks, all of them crazy high heads. It's the way it is, folks. Okay, it may sound crazy to you from this plane of consciousness. We're living in the Kali Yuga, but it's the way it is. Now, why am I focused on it? Why is it something I'm aspiring to become? What is it here? There's got to be something to it. There's got to be something to it that attracts people to it. Like I'm attracted to the idea. I'm an aspiring. I'm currently dry fasting every day, intermittent dry fasting with a short window of consumption of no more than 4 to 6 hours. And what I've been consuming lately, it's kind of a joke. Like it's just some juice, maybe like a couple of bananas, or a few sushi rolls, like just for taste. Now I'm just eating for taste, okay? Because I don't feel ready yet to go to the next level, and so you have to see where you're at. And I still got attachments for food and etc. But nevertheless, I'm doing the dry fasting. I think now I'm on hour 16. This is my 3rd video in a row. It's like mid-noon, and trust me, I can go on, okay? Because now I've been doing this for a week, the body adapts. So you start to see it when you experience it firsthand. There's also another guy, his name is Eli, the Free Melon Society. He did a 7-day dry fast, and he was working out every day. He says he broke it on the 7th day because that's when he started getting thirsty. But of course, he really prepared for it well, etc., etc. Nevertheless, people all over the planet now are realizing that we are pure light, we're pure consciousness, and that the pure consciousness doesn't need anything. It's already whole, it's already perfect as it is. And it powers everything, and it powers the physical body, and it is the original microcosm of all its macrocosms, the physical plane being a microcosm of the macrocosm, which is the pure light, the pure void, the pure awareness, the pure energy. It's just pure energy, Why would pure energy need anything for energy, right? It's kind of funny. So many people are realizing that now. Breatharians are popping all over the world, all over. You could go look them up on YouTube. They even have like a Pranic living, many initiations now and retreats, and they even have a festival now, like a yearly festival. I think I'll probably go to the next one because I'd like to meet these people. And so why, what's going on? Why would people want to, leave food behind? And why would you do that? Let's not say drinks for now. Again, there's only few individuals who are at that level. But let's just say leaving food behind altogether, and just kind of indulging in it for pure experience. You no longer use it for survival. It's not a need survival program anymore. Why? Isn't food so good? Okay, well, so there are far higher pleasures in life, my sweethearts, than eating. Okay, far, the joy of being in love, cosmic love I'm talking, the joy of being in the presence of light, the joy of being in the presence of beauty. Okay, you've all experienced it at one time or another. Go back to when you fell madly in love with someone in your life. You probably didn't drink, didn't eat, very little, you know what I mean? Like your food wasn't on your mind, you didn't think about it much. You know, you'd make love for many hours, and you wouldn't even realize that you're thirsty until you finished, until the energy started to come down, right? And then you maybe grab a water or something, or like a snack. We didn't even know about food and water when you were making love, and you know, you went like all night just kissing and hugging and this and that, and boom, you know, etc. It's like you're in love. So you all experienced it at one level or another. Maybe some of you experienced it via psychedelics, right? when you drop acid or you take mushrooms, forget about food, forget about water, because you're in higher consciousness, you're in the presence of pure light. That's like, you know, the joy of eating and drinking, it's like it's not there. It's not that you don't even think about it anymore. It's not on that frequency anymore. It's not on your mind. You know, again, you don't go on a classical music channel expecting to hear rock. You don't go on the frequency of light and pure love and pure energy and expect to hear thoughts of food, because they're not there. They're just not present. You're on a different frequency altogether. It's not that you're resisting anything. It's not that you're restraining yourself or renouncing the world by renouncing food. None of that. None of that. None of that. It's just not on your mind, period. Because you're in the presence of this higher pleasure. Because pleasure is the law. So it's kind of like if you're having an orgasm, why would you be eating while you're having an orgasm? That's a higher pleasure than, say, eating, right? Right? It's, I mean, if you're are you thinking about eating? No. It's only actually when you come down from the orgasm and the energy goes off that you're like, you want to replace it with something else, so you go grab a bite or something. It's just to make up for that sudden going up and then coming down. Otherwise, when you're having an orgasm, it's the same thing. Exactly, that's what breatharianism is. Same thing. You're in the orgasm, you're having an orgasm with God. Okay? Why would you be thinking about eating? That's the spirit of breatharianism in a nutshell. So, now you maybe begin to understand why I place a great deal of attention on this, and why I place a great deal of my energy, my time, my life force learning about it and applying it in my life. Okay? So, now, let's talk further. There's many things I'd like to discuss with you. So, benefit number one, reason number one, you're in higher pleasure. Period. Pleasure is the law. We're all pleasure. Creation is for pleasure. It's for play, and we're all seeking pleasure at all times. And God is a child who's always looking to be entertained until God goes back to itself, which is the grand union, which is the grand pleasure, which is the grand orgasm. So, I mean, that's like, that benefit alone, I could just stop the video right now, boom, done deal. I don't have to even say a word, right? Higher pleasures, period. We all want to be in pleasure. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to be in pain. We want to experience pleasure. So that's number one. You go to the higher pleasure, and all these addictions you have, to social media, to food, all these lower pleasures, like, for example, social media, checking and seeing, oh, somebody comments some of this, it's a lower pleasure. It gives you like these little rushes of dopamine, but that's about it. So it reminds you of who you are. Now, let's talk about other more, even more, just as practical also benefits. So, longevity. If you manage to actually stop eating as a means of survival, maybe, like some breatharians, they'll engage in eating once a week. They'll eat a piece of chocolate because they want to just experience it. It just gets on their mind or something. Or they want to, a lot of breatharians will go and, with their families. So, maybe a family dinner or something. They'll eat something. They'll drink something, It's not that you totally stop engaging in that. Nevertheless, you're just, if you're eating a piece of chocolate once a week, you're practically not eating. So, the main cause of why humans die is because we eat our way to death. We kill ourselves eating. And you know, I don't like to talk about, you know, science and this, but even in science now they say that he and she who eat less, they live longer. And if you could manage to get in that state of inidia, well, you probably got you know, depending, a few hundred years in your you know, you've got a few hundred years. You're going to see now a lot of these breatharians that are alive right now, they're gonna go on, man. They're gonna go on well into their hundreds. They will watch. We're living in a very revolutionary, transitionary period. We're moving out of the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, into like the higher one, not the highest, but the higher one, the Dvarpa Yuga. So we're moving into a more enlightened age, let's say. You're gonna see a lot of people now living well into their hundreds, using you know, getting in the state of inidia. And you're gonna see it now. You're gonna witness it firsthand. Some of the breatharians talk about immortality, which seems far off, even to me, honestly seems far off, because I just observe nature, I see that everything ends. But perhaps the immortality doesn't mean you're gonna be here forever. It means you will experience everything you want to experience in this realm in one life, and then you will consciously, Mahasamadhi is the conscious leaving of your body, because everything at some point ends. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. And a lot of these yogis who reach these states, they end up dying anyway, quote unquote, because they just leave their body. They're done with the experience here. You see? So that's, you know, so then immortality is also on the table. I could see that, because the body would just keep regenerating itself. Why? Because if you look at the earth can go on regenerating herself forever. And the body is of the earth. And if you're not putting any obstructions in there, theoretically, it can keep regenerating itself forever. But let's not talk about immortality here. Let's just keep it to longevity. That's just more comprehensible. Okay? And you can go on for hundreds of years. And just with the energy of a 20-year-old. You know, probably even more. Because you continue to cultivate this life force. And so that's pretty cool. Now, why would you want to go on for hundreds of years? Well, you have to get the old image of you in your head that when you become 60, you start to have aches and pains and no, because you'll be 100 and you'll be like, you'll have the energy of 5 20-year-olds combined. Okay, so the energy is there. So now, why would you want to do that also? Like, okay, so nice. First of all, suffering and pain. Look at the vast majority of humanity. They are in deep physical suffering because of our bad lifestyle choices, with food probably being the main one, folks. You know, really, I mean, really. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America. What do you think causes heart disease? Eating food. Now, I might hear you in the background saying, well, if we all eat fruits and that's our food and that's our primal food and that's what nature intended us to eat. Nature intended fruits for us to experience. That's like nature's gift to us. Here, have it. Try this. It's nice and sweet, isn't it? But not for survival. Not for survival. Now, you might say, well, we process the food. You know, we have the digestive system. Again, it is there for you to be able to process the experience of eating something. Okay, but try and put more than which all of us overeating, you're gonna die before 100. That's premature death. If you're dying before 100, or if you're like even starting to ache and have like knee pains and stuff at age 50, you know, again, and even if you get in a bad accident, if you're like in the immediate state, you'll regenerate very quickly. Okay, so if you're 50 and you're like, like that's premature. It's all premature, folks. Like, that's not supposed to happen. We gotta set new standards here. That's not supposed to happen. Okay, that's not supposed to happen, folks. So that's premature death. That's premature disease. And if you look at the vast majority of humanity, they're in. I mean, I could look at all my relatives. All of them. And we got diabetes running in the family, high blood pressure. Oh, everybody's on medications. Not just my immediate family, but all my relatives. And that's just all of humanity, pretty much. Right? If you observe every diet on the planet, it's like, first of all, the diet itself. Second of all, the quantity of food they eat. So you might say, well, okay, if we eat the foods in nature intended for us, fruits and stuff, okay, we'll live longer. Yeah, we'll have better health. But at some point, same thing. It's like it's just too many obstructions being put in the body. And it's running down the metabolism, and it's just eventually going to run down your body, and eventually you're going to still have a premature death. Inidia is the original state of human. in humans' most optimal, highest potential. And so now, after the fall of consciousness, we fell into this madness of separation, of consumption, of killing animals, of losing compassion, losing oneness. Because you're one with nature, you're hooked to nature. Right now, as I'm walking, the sun is showering me with energy. Showering me with energy. Water. My body itself has its own water. It's like 70% water. And I'm also extracting it from the atmosphere. So I'm because I'm whole, I'm one, I'm connected to nature, I got everything comes to me. Everything comes to me. Everything comes to you because you're one with nature. So yeah, but we lost that connection. So we fell into separation. That's the fall of consciousness. And then yeah, we fell into this madness of consumption, and consuming other animals and other species and you know, all that stuff. Yeah, once you get back to the oneness, you realize you're connected. There's no lack. There's always completeness and wholeness at every level. And you have provided yourself with everything as the creator and as the experiencer in your own creation. So, okay, very good benefit. Now we talked about the being in higher pleasure, living in heaven. That's what it feels like, living in heaven. And of course, it doesn't happen right away. You've got, I mean, you know, some folks out there in the breatharian world say, you know, take like 15, 20 years to transition. I think it's a little too much, but for some of us, it may be even longer that is needed. Anyway. Because you got to clean up the body depending on how much toxicity you have. If you're older, you definitely need more time to transition. If you're younger with relatively less toxicity in your body and you're really drawn to it, you could probably do it much less time. Anyway, that's for a different topic. So the other benefits we talked about: longevity, no suffering, no pain, no suffering in that physical, which clarifies your mind, allows the energy to rise up. The Shakti meets the Shiva, and that's the cosmic orgasm we talked about earlier in the video. A cleaner body is a cleaner mind also. Closer spiritual connection. So now, let's say I can live for, let's say I'm in an India state, and let's say I'm going on living for 300 years. Before maybe I choose to consciously leave my body, or maybe just the body actually eventually has to break down. You know, but probably very gently. You'll probably die in your sleep, if anything. You know, but you'll be so conscious at that level, you'll just leave your body when you're done with the experience of Earth. Maybe you want to hang out here. There are stories of Babaji in India, okay? And apparently Babaji has been around for, I think, thousands of years, okay? Babaji is quite a character, quite a character in the, you know, he's a supposedly Himalayan monk, and he's been apparently meditating in the Himalayas for some like hundreds or thousands of years. There are stories of people actually been here now for thousands of years. You hear about stories like Noah. Supposedly Noah lived for 700 years or something like that, you know. So this is like, again, it's like once you actually look into it, it's very common knowledge. It's nothing big actually. Once you understand it and you realize it's not even a big deal. So what do you do now? You've got, say, 300 years to live. Well, there's plenty of things to do here, my friend. Don't you want to learn how to levitate? Don't you want to learn how to move objects with your mind? Telekinesis, psychokinesis? Don't you want to learn all these cool things? Don't you want to learn? Don't you want to be? Don't you want to experience this realm? Don't you want to see all, like, go different places, experience this realm? See the mountains, see the sea, see the beach, live here, live there. Don't you want to have different relationships in your life, different friends, different things going on? I mean, like, the experience is wonderful. It's, you know, when you have a negative outlook on planet Earth, it's because you're feeling sick and diseased. So of course, if your inner world is sick and diseased, the outer world sucks. But once you actually start to get healthier, and I'm seeing it firsthand, it's like everything's so beautiful. Everything's so wonderful. Everything's so awesome. And you want to experience, like, I mean, my God, look at that. Look at that. Wow. I mean, wow. How can I, wow, Christ, man. Wow. Oh my God. God bless. I mean, this is beautiful. So you go on, and you could experience everything in one lifetime. You could get the experience of planet Earth out of your system, and you don't have to come back anymore. That's it. You know, that's it. In one lifetime, you live for hundreds of years, you get it all out of your system. This is the amusement park. Then you go on doing something else in the cosmos. You'll clear up your karma. You know, you'll be here sorting your spiritual stuff out, working on things like forgiveness, things like these higher things, compassion, unity, love, oneness. And then, this is very important. This has been revealed to me very recently. People who are attracted to this idea of breatharianism and who actually go on implement it, that's a very tight thing, very tight community, very tight, like it's a niche. Even within the spiritual community, I talk to people about this stuff and they're like, that's crazy. And they're in the spiritual community and they're like, they don't comprehend it, they don't understand it. Because that's like a very like, and I don't mean to create any elitism around it, okay? Because there's no us and them, there's only wholeness, there's only oneness, okay? This is a very, very tiny portion of the people attracted to it. And let me tell you why. Because you're supposed to be attracted to it because you came here to be a light worker, to be the light, actually. That's even better than a light worker, because a light worker, you're still identified with this ego thing, with this identity, to just be the light. But let's say light worker here. Let's just, because we're redirecting the ego into like a higher state of existence. So you came here to be a light worker. And because you're a light worker, and the planet Gaia is going through a very transitional, important phase in its evolution, you're needed to be here, and you're needed to be as healthy as you can and have as much energy as you can, and you're needed to be here for a long period of time. Gaia needs you to be here for hundreds of years, needs you to be here and living long, so that you could spread the light and alleviate the suffering. I have had, in the last few days or so, I've been crying like mad. This is how the revelation came to me. I've been crying like mad. Like yesterday I was crying, I cried all day, I stayed in my house. From 9 a.m. till maybe 5 p.m. I was crying. After that, I've got these revelations and I felt this sense of optimism. I was crying tears of compassion. I felt how I was thinking of my mom. She's got this thing now. She's not feeling good. I was like, yeah, she suffers. And I saw her whole life and how she's been suffering. My dad. Same thing with this, this person that I was sort of, I got intimate with lately. This woman that I got intimate with lately, right? And I was feeling this sort of compassion for her, looking at her life story. And I was looking at my life story also, and how I grew up and I was beat up and this and that, and how I gained weight and stuff. And I was feeling like miserable and I wanted to kill myself and commit suicide. And I was feeling compassion for myself. And I was sort of like, wow, the earth is a sea of suffering. And I was crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and just crying, okay, all day. And I felt the suffering. It was necessary for me to experience that. This was very similar to one mushroom trip that I had. Same thing happened to me, except for I was under the influence of mushrooms. Yesterday I wasn't. I was just feeling this compassion, and I was like, I gotta let it out. Because I've been here, I've been building this energy, and I'm starting to feel this energy of love more and more, this energy of light, and I start to feel that it's getting overwhelming in my chest, and I'm like, there's a lot of tears that have to be released here. And those were the tears of compassion. And, butterflies. And after that, I get the revelation. I'm like, oh wait, I know why I'm here. I'm here to spread the light. That's sort of like my mission here. And so I'm like, okay, wait. So let me look. What am I attracted to the most these days? Like, oh, in India. I want to be. Why? Why do I want to be in India? Oh, okay. And it all started to make sense to me. So if you're attracted to this concept and you're working, to apply it, and you're sort of starting to do some fasting, this and that, and you're lightening up your diet and you're working your way, then you're a light worker. You're sent here on a mission to work alongside with the other light workers and alongside with all of humanity, okay? Because we're here to alleviate the suffering of not just humans, but all creatures. Like, look, these cows, for example, let me tell you about these cows. Not gonna point any fingers on anybody, because Father forgive them for they not know. But all these cows here, they're like, they're in chains and stuff. Right, like this. I don't know if you can see it, but they're in chains. Like they're roaming. They're in much better conditions than the ones you see in like, farm. The conventional farming you see in America and stuff. They're in much better condition, nevertheless. And the farmers here, very nice people. So that's why I'm not I love all the farmers here. They just do what they think. They think the way it is. So, but again. That's the farmers are suffering, the cows are suffering, everybody's suffering. The planet's suffering because we're farming the entire planet here because we think we need food, and we're just literally eating our ways to death. Okay, so that's hello. That's one of the benefits, is you alleviate the suffering of all. And so you live longer. Why would you want to live longer? As a light worker, you would want to live longer so that you could continue to alleviate the suffering. Because if, let's say, you die right now as a young light worker, well, you're going to have to, now you may not incarnate for another 10 years, 20 years, you're going to have to go through the childhood again, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we need you now. You're gaining awareness. We need you to stay at that level and keep gaining the awareness and continue. It's like an urgent thing. That's why the message of breatharianism is spreading pretty quickly. Because it's like you're needed now. We don't want you to die. We don't want you to leave and come back again, because that's going to take another 50 years before you get back to the same level of awareness. And it's like, we need the work to be done right now. This is very urgent. So we need everybody to stay here, be as healthy as they can, as energetic as they can, and live as long as they can, so that they can spread the work of light, so that the planet could be saved. Because that's what's happening right now. Is like the planet is at this tipping point, and so we need as many light workers. We need them to be as healthy, as energetic, and live as long as possible. We don't want them to die right now. We don't want them to go through the whole thing again. Hello. We don't want them to go through the whole thing again. We don't want them to go through we don't want them to go through, like, again, you die, you may not even incarnate for another 10 years. Now you go through your childhood again. No. Right now, right here. Get yourself straight. Let's go for a few hundred years, because we need you. So if you're attracted to that idea, understand that is one of the reasons. You're needed to be here for quite some time to spread the work of light. Now, the benefits can go on. Okay, so I'm gonna go on here. Now, to tie it all up, sustainability. Okay, the number one cause of the suffering of Gaia is what we do as humanity here. I don't know if it's the number one, maybe I'm exaggerating, but a major cause of the suffering is that we are like farming the whole planet for food. We're killing animals because we want to eat, because we think we need, protein, and we need animals, blah, 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 right? And same thing, like with food, just regular food, plants, and it's like we're putting so much strain on the planet. Imagine if even 10% of the world's population became breatharian. You know how much stress would be let off of Gaia, off of the planet? You know how quickly the planet would heal? It's kind of like if you stop eating, you fast, your body heals so quickly. If we actually like majorly reduce our farming habits and the ways we eat, if we reduce our food consumption, even by 10%, 20%, the planet would heal that much quicker. So for the environment, for sustainability, unbelievable. It's incredible. It would do it would do wonders. It would do wonders. And people wouldn't need to work as much because they don't need money, because you barely eat. So what do you need money for now? Not much. So you don't need to work as much, if at all. Okay, you probably still need to have a way of earning a living. There's always expenses, this and that, but your expenses would just go down drastically that way. So essentially, you're reducing your consumption, therefore you're reducing your footprint as an individual. And if enough people do that, my God, we don't have to do anything. Gaia will heal herself. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Just like you don't have to do anything. You just literally have to get out of your body's way, and the body heals itself. And the quickest way of healing, you do 3 days of dry fasting, 5 days of dry fasting, you'll heal most things you have. Because you even stop drinking water. You're literally nothing at all. And that's the quickest way. So breatharianism is indeed the path of Wu Wei. It's the path of the Tao. It's the path of doing nothing. When nothing gets done, when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. So from that perspective of oneness, a perspective of compassion and brotherhood and sisterhood, and the well-being of the planet, I can't think of any better way for sustainability in the environment than the path of Inidia. My God. Now what happens when you become in that state? Obviously you're sleeping like 4 hours a night. Your energy is unbelievable through the roof. So it's like, not only are you having all this time, but you're having all this energy. You don't wake up groggy and headaches and stuff. No, you wake up like, And so again, that's part of, the reason why, a particular set of light workers are attracted to that, because You're all needed. You're needed for this. You're needed to be here for hundreds of years. You're needed to be in your absolute most optimal energy, because to alleviate the suffering, you see. And one of the profound things that revelations that I received after crying for like God knows how long yesterday, is okay. No, it's like my tears dried up. You know, when a river dries up, after a time, it's like no more tears. It's like, all right, practical compassion. What do I do now? And then I realized that I'm going to work on this YouTube channel day and night, which is probably why I'm so beaming with energy and light today. And this is, I mentioned that I'm on my third video in a row, probably going to be like 7-8 videos today, okay? And not just small videos. See, this one's already 30 minutes. Because I felt the suffering of the planet, and my tears dried up like a river dries up. No more tears. No more tears. Practical compassion. I called it practical compassion. What do I do now? All right, work on YouTube day and night. Spread this message, spread this knowledge, and do it for God. Don't do it for yourself. I really want to grow this channel now. That's why I'm like back very, very like intensely. But I'm an agent of the force. I'm an agent of the way, of the Tao. I'm a servant. And I remind myself of that, because I make sure when I wake up is I spend an hour or two just in, you can call it worship, gratitude. Because I want to remember, keep myself humble, and remember God, and remember that I am indeed the servant of God, you know, and that this is just God's will, God's way. And so now it's time for action, and that's why I'm making this video. That's why I'm spreading this knowledge, and I'll continue to do that, because this is my way, my role of alleviating suffering, alleviating suffering. Now, another good benefit here is you just kind of chill the fuck out. You chill. What do I mean by chill? Well, I'm 28 now. If I'm gonna go on living 200 years, 300 years, what am I rushing here? There's no rush whatsoever for any experience, actually. There's just chilling back. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be here for a long time. I'm not gonna rush. Oh, I wanna go see Taj Mahal in India. It's like, no rush. You'll get your chance. You'll get your chance. Oh, I would like to be in with the love of my life right now. You know, there's no rush. You'll get there. You know, you'll get there. She'll get there. Yeah, no rush. No rush. You're 20. Yeah, you know, you just hang out. I mean, what's the rush here? We got another 150 years, 250 years. You know, so that you calm down also on that. You just begin to embrace the moment and appreciate the moment, appreciate the richness of life, the richness of every moment, the richness of every experience, because you're no longer in a rush for an experience. You're not rushing any experience, because you understand that you're going to be healthy, alive, vital for a very long time, unless of course the force somehow wants you out. You might, you know, leave in your sleep, you might get abducted by aliens, or you might get in a fatal accident, because that's the force wants you to leave also. So I gotta pause this and continue. Okay, so of course, yeah, again, like I was saying, the exception is like if the force, but again, for most of us attracted to this message, the force wants us to embrace it and implement it, because the force needs us here for a certain period of time, for as long as possible. And again, I'm not trying to make this elitist or anything like that. I'm just stating the way it is. It's all oneness. It's all unity. It's all wholeness. There's no better or worse. Just because you're a breatharian doesn't mean you're better than anybody else. Jesus certainly didn't think he was better than the people that were crucifying him, as he was saying, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. He wasn't saying it out of a superiority complex. He was saying it out of his heart, and out of like a love in his heart. You know, he wasn't like, haha, I'm better than you guys don't know. Haha, Father, forgive them, they don't know, poor them. It's like, no, he was saying it from compassion, from a place of compassion, right? And I'm saying it also from the same place. I'm saying it from a place of compassion, because really, I'm just saying, look, that's probably the reason why and as if you do end up becoming a breatharian and you end up living in the state of India, you're gonna have to get used to outliving a lot of your relatives and a lot of your loved ones. Really, that's gonna happen. And again, it's nothing to do with better or worse or any form of, you know, it's just the way it is. I'm just stating the way it is. The planet is in a big mess. There needs to be some light spread, some awareness spread, and somebody needs to do it in the drama. And that happens to be the role of, you know, the role of the light workers. Okay? So you see the importance of breatharianism. You see how critical it is on so many levels. Really, really, on so many levels. On so many levels. You'll sort out a lot of your karma here. If you're here for 200, 300 years, not only will you learn how to levitate, not only will you learn how to, because you got so much time and energy, not only will, and awareness and focus, not only will you learn how to move things with your mind, and not only will you visit every place in the world, not only will you experience so many different friendships and relationships and lovers, and you know, you will, I mean, your experience will be rich, but also you'll sort out a lot of your karma. You'll cultivate your forgiveness, you'll cultivate your awareness, you'll cultivate your compassion, deepen your compassion, you'll deepen your love, you'll be in more at peace, more at contentment, you'll have more time to meditate, more time to connect. So it's great spiritual work. It really is great spiritual work. And yeah, so I think I would like to stop the video here. Obviously I am very fired up about this. So I would like to continue the discussion. I'm very much intrigued by the idea of, living a long, healthy, happy life in which I consciously make the choice to leave my body once I feel that I am done playing in this amusement park, that I would like to play somewhere else in the cosmos. And again, for many of us, we've got a lot of shit to do here. I know I want to be here for a while because I got some shit, personal shit that I got to sort out, some personal work that I got to do on myself, some further cultivation of compassion, of forgiveness, of letting go. And I also know that I've got a lot of work to do for the world also. The path of karma yoga, the path of action. Probably why, with all these realizations that have been hitting me, with all these tears that I've been shedding, with this new thing that I have in my life called practical compassion, which is just get action oriented, do things that will alleviate the suffering, do it, then which wouldn't have happened had I not experienced these deep visceral tears of compassion for the way everything is in this planet, in this realm. Probably the reason why I am so fired up, and the reason why I'm on my third video in a row. And I'll probably go now, ironically, get something to drink, break the dry fast, and maybe do some meditation and get back on it. I can see today maybe 7-8 videos being made, and I might have to switch to 2 videos a day because of this new sense of mission. And also this new sense of relaxation, because if I'm 28 and if I'm going to be in the state of India at some point in the near future, then I do indeed feel like a teenager, and I'm very relaxed about the whole thing now. Even some people here, they say I look 20, 21, which is true. I look like a kid. I feel like a kid. I feel like the idiot, like a teenager, like an idiot. I really do. And very relaxed now. Very relaxed because I'm like, well, there's no rush here. Very relaxed about, wanting to do things, wanting to live, right? It's just like, well, what's the rush? I'll probably be 50 and have more energy than I have now, and probably look like what? Probably look the same, maybe a bit older, right? I mean, really, like really, there's no rush now, and that gives you such a great optimism in life, and you realize that the original design of creation is such a compassionate and loving and caring and health-oriented design, you see? And then you get back to the source, you get back to the original design. So yeah. Thank you to all the Patreons for their support. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to support the mission, I'd like to do this full-time at some point. It would be really, really nice. It would be really cool to do this full-time, actually. It would be really, really super cool to be able to do this full-time and travel around and come to the US, Australia, all the major places you guys are in, UK and stuff, and host retreats and stuff, so you guys can fund it, and then it'll be really cheap to attend. It'll be like for free pretty much, right? Because I'll actually come to your home countries and host these retreats. So I'd like to start doing that soon, with this new sense of mission. I'd like to travel the world more and do more of these retreats and meet more of you guys and do more talking like that. So support me on Patreon. Plant a seed there and we'll make it happen at some point. I may have to switch to 2 videos a day. So that's about it. Instagram, Saeed Mobayed, and I will see you guys in the next video.